What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word? Hummingbird. Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for another review of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 12, Episode 3, A Very Jersey Kegger. So we start off with Dolores. Dolores is at her, was she at her home or at her townhome? I don't know, but she was at home and her kids were there. And she breaks the news to her kids that Frank Sr. will be moving in with her. Now, I didn't really catch why he was moving in with her because I would think that Frank Sr. would have his own home, but he's going to be moving in with Dolores and the kids. And her daughter is not too crazy about that. I don't think her son cares one way or the other. But I noticed that her daughter calls Frank Sr., she calls him Frank. She doesn't call him or refer to him as dad. What is going on with that? What did I miss? Because I didn't know that Frank Sr. and his daughter were having major issues. And then Dolores, explains how the kids never really grew up with their parents in the same household because they got divorced when the girl was 2 years old and Dolores was pregnant with Frankie Jr. So they never really grew up in a home with Frank Sr. Okay, so fine. But I think Frank Jr. calls him dad. So I don't know why her daughter doesn't call Frank Sr. dad. I must have missed something there. Okay, moving on. Teresa. So Gia's song from 2011, the whole song about waking up every morning, whatever, that became really popular. It went viral and it got really viral on TikTok because he could not get away from that song. So she's going to capitalize on that. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Gia is a businesswoman. Yes, indeed. Go ahead and capitalize and make that money. So she has branded some sweatshirts with the lyrics from that song. I think the front part says waking up in the morning and the back says thinking about so many things. So that was a really smart move. It would have been great if it happened right at the time that it was like really, really hot on TikTok. But, we still remember it. It went viral. It's part of our culture now. So at the photo shoot, Teresa shows up, and Gia's two sisters are there, Melania and is it Adriana? I think they're both there, and so Teresa tells her daughters that Lewis is going to be hosting a pizza night and he wants all the girls there plus all the Gorgas there. And Gia's down. She's like, whatever. And Melania is like, no, there's no way I'm going to come because she still has a lot of resentment towards her uncle for the things that her uncle had said online and also in the previous season when he was shouting at the top of his lungs. He was about to have an aneurysm when he was shouting to Teresa how Joe Giudice had put his mother into an early grave. So Melania is not over that. And Gia tells us in her confessional that Melania has a really big heart and she just wants everyone to get along, but she really, really loves her dad. And I think that out of all the girls, maybe Melania was the closest to Joe Giudice. And every scene with Joe Giudice that they show us with his girls, especially like when he went away to jail, and I think it was like that first night or the first few nights when they had to, start living without him after he had to go to jail, and you see the girls laying in the bed with Teresa, and it's Melania that's, crying for her father. And then the scene where they go to Italy to visit him and they're all just running to him, and it's Melania that's like ahead of the pack and she's the first one to give him this great. Every time they show scenes of Joe Giudice and his kids, I literally get teary-eyed. It's so emotional for me. I can't watch him with his kids and not feel something. And even though obviously, he was a horrible guy, the things that he did criminally that caused this huge issue in his family, I still melt whenever he's with his daughters. So Melania says that she's not really feeling the whole pizza night thing. And she tells Teresa, you're not going to make me do something that I don't want to do and I don't want to talk about it. So yeah, that's the end of that. So the guys meet up, Joe Gorga, Joe Bonino, and Frank Catania, and they're all meeting up. And every time the guys get together, it's always like a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. I'm watching it and I'm smiling the whole time whenever the guys get together. So they talk about, Frank talks about how Dolores was like the perfect wife for him. She was a good wife, but he was just an animal. He was an animal. He messed up. And the way he said, guys are just animals, that's like an easy cop out for the dumb things that guys do that can ruin and break up marriages and relationships. That's a huge cop out. You're not an animal. You're a human being. You have a brain. You can think, and you know how to make decisions. So let's stop with, I was just an animal acting on instinct, just following my urges, just let's not do that. You're not an animal. You're a human with a brain. Please use it. Utilize that, please. So then they talk about David and Dolores. Frank alludes that David and Dolores may be breaking up because somebody asked, I think it was Joe Gorga. Joe Gorga, because Frank said he was going to be moving in with Dolores and the kids. And Joe Gorga was like, well, why doesn't David move in with Dolores and the kids? And so Frank was like, well, he really hasn't been around, or they're really not talking. So he alludes to the possibility of Dolores and David breaking up. And I'm like, what's the big deal about that? Who cares if they break up? Because we didn't see a lot of David last season. I don't know if he was there the season before, but we didn't see a lot of David. And Dolores was always complaining about David not being around a lot. He's a doctor. And what kind of gets me about some people is that they want to marry these they want to marry people, and most of the time it's a woman who wants to marry a man with a lot of money, so whatever, she can have a better lifestyle. The women want to marry these men who make a lot of money, whether they're doctors or lawyers or business owners, CEOs, corporate execs, whatever. But these people, for them to make a lot of money, they got to work a lot. And then they complain about, oh, you're never around. But they need to go to work to make all this money to sustain your lifestyle. What do you want them to do? You're just going to have to accept what you can get, I feel like. Unless they really, really, really got it like that, because there's wealth and then there's wealth. And then there's that kind of wealth, where you don't have to show up at the office. Your money is making money for you. You know what I mean? You don't even have to show up. But then for a lot of people who are still wealthy, they still have to show up somewhere and perform some type of duty to make this money. But anyway, so Dolores, I remember her complaining a lot about David not being around. And I guess, that took a toll on their relationship. Then they talk about Nabil. So they're asking each other, have you talked to Bill? Have you talked to Bill? And Frank did definitely talk to Bill. Joe Gorga talked to Bill. And, Joe Gorga was like, yeah, I spoke to him and he said he was fine. And Frank was like, no, he's not. I spoke to him and he is not doing well at all. He's not okay. Bill is not okay after the stuff that Margaret had said. And I think Joe Bonino talked about how, I think he mentioned he didn't like how Jennifer and Bill were coming after Margaret. I don't know if he said that or not. I don't know why I feel like he said that. So Joe Gorga talks about the issues with Gia and his nieces and how disrespectful Gia was. And Frank is telling Joe Gorga, hey, this is family. You say what you got to say and you do whatever you got to do just to make things better, just to make things nice again. So put your ego aside and just try to make it better. But Joe Gorga, he's stubborn. He's real stubborn. So Louis and Frank Jr., they're doing great because, Frank Jr., he's learning about real estate under Teresa's boyfriend, Louis. And every time the guys hang out, it's just a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and it's a break from the drama of the women. Jackie. So Jackie goes out to eat with her husband, Evan, and he asked her what she wanted to order, and she said, oh, it's 5:00. It's too early to eat. And I was like, what? What do you mean it's too early to eat? It's 5:00 in the evening, not 5:00 in the morning. This is like normal dinner time. But to her, it was too early to eat. And I was like, did she say too early to eat or too early to drink? And she's definitely said eat because she was definitely drinking her alcohol, but she said it was too early to eat. So then they reminisce about their old college days and the Keggers that they went to. And Jackie wants to plan a frat theme or a Kegger themed party. And she says something like, I don't think too many of these women ever went to college. So she wants to give them that college experience, the college Kegger experience. So then the food comes, and Jackie made it a point to tell the waiter, this is all his, and this is mine. Well, to make a long story short, her eating disorder has creeped up again on her. After all that she went through last year with the rumors about Evan and Teresa, it made her regress, and she slipped back into her old habits of not eating and trying to lose weight, and it's gotten pretty bad. And Evan says that even the children have noticed it, and that really shocked her. She was like, "What do they say?" And Evan says, "Well, they keep asking, why does mommy always eat the same thing for dinner every night, which is usually a salad for her?" And she started crying because, her children are noticing that there's something wrong. And so it's like, she's like, she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to do. When she feels like, this is my own personal opinion, I guess when she feels like her life is kind of out of control and things are happening that she cannot control, like dealing with these crazy women, she resorts to something that she can control, which is what she eats and her weight. And Evan's like, maybe you need to go talk to someone. And Evan said that he had been sort of reluctant to bring this up with her because she gets really defensive about it. Because I guess she's trying to hide it, but he notices that, she is going back to her old eating disorder habits. So luckily, Jackie says that she is willing to talk to someone. So I'm glad that she's going to be getting help. And then they showed a picture of her at her wedding. And obviously every bride tries to lose a ton of weight to fit into their wedding gown. And she was probably already thin to begin with because her eating disorder started when she was an adult. And she probably was already thin to begin with. And then she lost even more weight, I guess, for her wedding. And it was very scary how skinny she got, how thin she got. It was really, really scary. And I just can't imagine, depriving yourself of something that you need to survive because you don't want to gain weight, you don't want to be fat, you don't want to be overweight, and maybe there's things happening around you that you can't control. I don't know. She's like in a really, I don't know. I'm just glad that she's going to be getting the help that she needs. We're still with Jackie. She's still at home. No, she's home now. Before they were out to eat. Now she's home. So she's home and she calls Jennifer. And Jackie says, I think she's calling Jennifer to invite her to her Kegger. And I thought it was a real coinkydink that Jackie planned her Kegger on a day that Teresa would be out of town. How convenient. So Jackie's inviting Jennifer to her Kegger, and while they're talking, Jackie says that Dolores, because I think Jennifer was talking about, the whole situation with Margaret and Dolores or whatever. And then, Jennifer was talking about how at the housewarming party at Dolores's house, she really didn't appreciate how Dolores was coming at her for crying, because she was crying and Dolores was like, "What are you crying about? What are you crying about?" And, Jennifer was like, "There's no shame in crying. I'm strong because I cry." So I guess she was talking about that. And Jackie was like, "Yeah, Dolores was not really being, really good friend to you. And she's not the friend that you need right now." And I was like, where the hell did she get off saying that? Who are you to judge when someone is or is not a good friend? And I don't think what Dolores said was really that bad. Because you know what I can't stand, I'm going to talk more about this later when we talk about Miss Tracy. What I cannot stand is how some people are like treating Jennifer like she's just this really innocent, poor victim of this, this crazy woman, Margaret, who revealed all of her deepest, darkest secrets. But let's not forget how cruel and how, what's the word? She was really mean and vicious every time that she would attack Margaret last year. I mean, that was just bad. That was bad on so many levels. And I kind of feel like the reason why Jennifer went so hard against Margaret, I think it was because it had everything to do with Teresa. I think maybe Teresa had set Jennifer up, used Jennifer basically as her little weapon against Margaret because of the situation between Margaret and Danielle and Teresa. That whole situation that happened, I don't know if it was last season or the season before, when they had that huge fight between Danielle Straub and Teresa and Margaret and all of that. So I think that Teresa found an ally in Jennifer and was going to use that to her advantage and use Jennifer to go after Margaret. That's what I think. because I don't understand why Jennifer cared so much about what was going on with Margaret and, her affairs, and saying things like, and your mother was effing everybody, and the way you were a mistress. I mean, it was just bad and vicious, the things that Jennifer said. And she did not hold back one bit. I felt really bad for Margaret last year. But now everybody's like, oh, poor Jennifer. And how could Margaret do, not everybody, but, some people are like, oh, poor Jennifer. Poor Jennifer what? Jennifer, she dished it. She dished it hot and ready to Margaret. She better be able to take it. So moving on to, okay, so they're talking, and Jackie's inviting Jennifer. I feel like I've said this 1,000 times. And then Jackie asked Jennifer if Bill would be coming. And Jennifer was like, I don't think Bill's going to come. Okay. And so then at the end of their conversation, Jackie says, just call me whenever you need me. And it was almost like she was begging her to call her. So when she said that, just call me whenever you need me, I'm here, it made me think Jennifer probably doesn't really call her, because I don't think Jennifer really wants a friendship with Jackie. I really don't think she does. I think she's going to accept it because it gives, more numbers to her army against Margaret. But I don't think she really cares about being her friend. So I seriously doubt that Jennifer is calling up Jackie just to, shoot the breeze and talk and have lunch. I don't think so. Moving on to Teresa. So Teresa in her confessional, she says that Louis doesn't hold anything back. Oh, because, okay, so they're getting ready for the big pizza night. I thought it was just going to be like a regular pizza night, but evidently Louis wants this to be like some kind of a therapy session for everyone to get all their feelings out and whatever. So in her confessional, Teresa says that Louis, he doesn't hold anything back. He's really big on communication and expressing himself all the time. And I thought this was really funny because Teresa is the exact opposite. Teresa has a wall up. Teresa is never honest about how she feels or what she thinks. She's always putting up a front. So you're dating someone who's supposed to be really open and honest and everything out there on the table, while you're very closed up and you got like walls of cement all around you, because you never want anyone to know how you really feel. Teresa's always faking the funk. So Melania did agree to come. She's there, and they're going to do these, self-help techniques or whatever they're going to be doing. The Gorgas arrive, they make them, they eat the pizza, and then Louis begins the therapy session. So they're all talking about, things about them that they can change, all this therapy mumbo jumbo. And Teresa, of course, she really didn't think anything was wrong with her, so she really didn't need anything to change. So typical Teresa. There's never anything wrong with Teresa. And then Joe Gorga says, that we're family and I should be able to say whatever I want, and then y'all need to just get over it. People can say whatever they want, and then we just got to get over it. And it's like, no, Joe, it doesn't quite work like that, especially when you're talking about your niece's father and you know how close the children are to their dad. So, you just can't say whatever you want and expect your nieces just to get over it. So Melania, she finally gets a chance to speak, and she says that, she can say a lot of things, but she's going to hold back. But the bottom line is she just wants people to get along, and she doesn't want to live in constant fear that this is going to be like another bomb dropping on their family. So she doesn't want to always be in fear, I guess, of what people might be saying about her family, what people might be saying about her father. She doesn't want to always have that fear. I guess that's what she was referring to. Or maybe she was referring to, she doesn't want to have that fear that something else bad is going to happen. Like her father went to jail, then her mother went to jail, then her grandparents passed away, then her uncle is, acting a fool online. So she's like, maybe she just wants all the drama just to stop and to end. So Joe says that he finally gets it now. Hearing it from Melania, he finally understands where the girls are coming from. And so he feels bad, and he takes accountability for being responsible for putting her in that fear state of mind. So that was really good on Joe Gorga's part. So then that scene is over. We're getting ready for Jackie's big kegger. So Tracy, there's your scene. Everybody's getting ready, whatever they're doing, trying to find the right outfit. Everyone wants to, okay, so the whole theme was college kegger party night, I guess. And you're supposed to come dressed like the way, a college person would dress. I didn't really see college girl in what Margaret wore, but that's moving ahead of myself. So as they're getting ready, there's a scene with Tracy and Tiki. And Tracy's telling her husband Tiki how she really sympathizes with Jennifer because she knows how rumors can affect you. I was thoroughly confused. Okay, you claim that people were spreading rumors about you and Tiki, saying that Tiki was cheating on his wife, which y'all claim that he wasn't doing that. What Margaret said about Nabil was facts. It was true. He did cheat on Jennifer. That is a fact. So when you're talking about, I know how Jennifer feels because of the rumors that people can spread about you. Who's spreading rumors about Jennifer? It's a fact that her husband cheated on her. Are you trying to imply, Tracy, that it's a fact that Tiki did cheat on his wife? Is that why you can understand what Jennifer is going through? So instead of saying, I understand what Jennifer is going through because of the rumors, you should rephrase and say, I understand what Jennifer's going through because we've also had our secrets exposed. That's what you should say. The secret being that Tiki was cheating on his wife with you and you were the mistress. So then Tiki says that he really feels bad for Bill and Jennifer because, why do you feel bad for Bill and Jennifer? Okay, you're trying to compare your situation with Nabil and Jennifer's situation, but you're claiming that there were just rumors about you and they were not true, whereas with Bill and Jennifer, a fact was exposed. Okay, so if you want to compare yourself to Bill and Jennifer, then please get it correctly, get it right. A fact was exposed of you and Stacy as well. Tiki Barber and Stacy were having an affair while Tiki Barber was still married to his wife, and his wife probably had the impression that, she's in a marriage with her husband Tiki and nothing is going on. Coming to find out, he is bonking the babysitter because I think Stacy was their babysitter. And it's like, oh my God, how creepy can you get? So he was having an affair with the babysitter while he was married to his wife. Now you can make a correlation between you and Nabil and Jennifer. There was a secret, the affair that y'all were having, and it was exposed. Just like how Margaret exposed Nabil and Jennifer's affair. Okay, are we all caught up? Okay. So now we're at the party. So everybody's at the event and, everyone is showing up. And then there's a lot of talk about Joe's anatomy, which was really funny because I thought this was hilarious. Margaret said that because Melissa said something about his anatomy. And then Margaret said, oh, yeah. And y'all, I can vouch for Melissa because Dolores confirmed that, Joe Gorga has it going on over there. And so they called Dolores over and Melissa was like, what do you mean Dolores would know that? Or what are you trying to say, that they, had a thing going on before I met Joe? And so they called Dolores over and they asked Dolores. Margaret said, didn't you tell me that, Joe really had it going on in that department? And then Dolores was like, I never told you that. And Margaret was like, yes, you did. And Dolores was like, there's no way I would know. How would I know that? No, I never said that. So that was really confusing because I don't know Margaret to be a liar. So I wonder where Margaret got that information from and why she said that. That was really strange. And Dolores looked like she was being honest. Like, she would not know that. That was a very strange scene. I feel like we needed to dig into that a little bit more. So after much talk about Joe's anatomy, we move on. So Tracy wants Margaret to show Jen a little bit more grace because, Margaret is so blinded by her rage. She's so blinded by her rage that she doesn't see Jennifer falling apart right in front of her. And I'm like, okay, I don't see Margaret in any kind of rage. Margaret is definitely hurt by the things that were said to her by Jennifer. And she had to confront her and put an end to that nonsense. I don't see Margaret in any kind of rage. And where were you, Tracy, when Jennifer was dragging Margaret's whole entire life through the mud? Where were you? Were you asking Jennifer to show some grace to Margaret at that time? Where the hell were you back then, Tracy? Tracy, shut your mouth. Moving on. So Jennifer arrives with Nabil. I guess Nabil changed his mind and decided to crawl out of his cave and join the rest of the world. And then Jennifer and Margaret, they kind of stay apart. There's not a lot of interaction between Jennifer and Margaret. It's like they're on opposite ends of the room or something. So then Dolores announces to the girls that her and David did break up. And I'm like, okay, who cares? It was not even a real relationship. I didn't see a lot of chemistry between Dolores and David. I didn't see them. I mean, there was more chemistry between Dolores and Frank, and everybody, likes to joke around about how Dolores and Frank should still stay together, or they should reconcile or whatever. I didn't see no chemistry between Dolores and David. I don't think Dolores should go back to Frank because remember, Frank is an animal who can't control his urges. So I don't think she should, as romantic as that may sound and as good as they are together, it seems like, I don't think Dolores should ever go down that road again. But I didn't see anything exciting or romantic or interesting between Dolores and David. So this whole thing about them breaking up, I was just like, okay, y'all broke up. Let's move on to the next thing. We know Dolores wasn't into David at all like that. Let's stop playing games. He was just a prop. So Dolores talks about how she wanted more of a commitment and she wanted more time from him. Okay, fine, Dolores. You can move. Dolores, she's probably my favorite character on New Jersey for some reason. I really like Dolores. Dolores has it going on. Dolores does whatever the hell Dolores wants to do, and she don't give a damn. I like the fact that, she's gotten work done on herself. She's like, I don't care what people say. I'm going to get a bigger butt. I'm going to get a smaller stomach and a smaller waist. I'm going to get snatched. I'm going to put in these veneers. I'm going to fix myself. And I like the fact that she's unapologetic about it. And, I love Dolores. I really love Dolores. So she talks about why her and David broke up. Nobody really cares. And then Dolores goes to talk to Jennifer. And she starts off by telling Jennifer, what Margaret did was not right. It was kind of rough. But what you did, Jennifer, it was bad too, because Margaret told me all the things that you said about her, and that was pretty cruel too. So, it's tit for tat. Whatever. Y'all did it to each other. But I do acknowledge that what Margaret did was wrong and she shouldn't have done that, or that it was really bad or whatever. And so then Jennifer questions Dolores' friendship to her. She was like, I really wonder if you're a really good friend to me. And because it seems like you're closer to Margaret than you are to me or whatever. And Dolores was like, no, I like both of you equally. And then Jennifer says, well, Jackie told me that she's witnessed firsthand how you're not a good friend to me. And then Jackie materializes. I mean, every time Jackie's name is said, it's like boom, she's right there. So Jackie materializes out of nowhere, and Dolores goes in on Jackie immediately. She's like, did you tell her that I wasn't a good friend to her? And then Jackie says, well, you're more of a friend to Margaret than you are to Jennifer. And Dolores was like, well, that's not your place to say that. And then Jackie was like, of course it's my place to say that, because I'm here for Jennifer. She's my new best friend, and I'm here for Jennifer, and I'm going to be looking out for Jennifer from now on. I've taken on the role of being her protector. So I'm here for Jennifer, and I'm going to be here to protect her and do all that I can for her. And so, I'm beginning to wonder if Jackie is actually, in her quest to be Jennifer's new BFF, I'm beginning to wonder if it's like that old adage, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And I'm wondering if Jackie is trying to keep Jennifer really, really close to her, because she knows that Jennifer knows something about Evan. And that's why she's trying so hard to create this friendship with Jennifer, so that maybe Jennifer can feel some type of loyalty to her and not reveal what she actually knows. I'm beginning to wonder about that. I could be completely 1,000% wrong, but I'm beginning to wonder, because I find this forced friendship that she's trying to put on Jennifer, I find it very odd and peculiar, especially for someone like Jackie, who really acted like she didn't really need these people. I just don't understand. So I'm wondering if Jackie thinks that Jennifer really does have some tea on Evan, and she's like, if I keep her real close to me and act like I'm her friend, she won't say anything. I can control the narrative of this whole situation with Evan. Anyways, so then Margaret joins in. So Dolores explains to Margaret, well, Jackie just said that I'm not a really good friend to Jennifer, but I'm trying to tell her that, I like them both the same, that I like y'all both the same. And then Margaret was like, no, that's not true, Dolores. You're closer to me than you are to Jennifer. Cut the crap. You're really a better friend for me than you are. You're a better friend to me than you are to Jennifer. So that burst Dolores' bubble real quickly. And so then Dolores says, Jennifer, do I support you or no? And then Jennifer was like, you know what? I could use a little bit more support from you. And so Dolores was like, done. I'll do it. No problem. But I don't need to hear it from this. And she's referring to Jackie. And Jackie was like, this? What this? Don't call me a this. And Dolores was like, you're this to me right now. And then Jackie was like, you better respect me. Don't call me this. And then Dolores got all up in Jackie's face. And she was like, so, and what are you going to do about it? And then I was like, yes, Dolores. Yes, I love Dolores. She got all up in Jackie's face. All 4'2" of her got all up in Jackie's face. And she was like, and what are you going to do about it? What a great ending. What a great ending. But I'm very curious as far as I really want to know why is Jackie trying so hard to be Jennifer's new BFF? Curious. This is my review. Thank you so much for joining me. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.